Hello everybody, it's the Vertical Sandwich. We're still in the screen house. We're still doing book reviews. It's still the same day it was. It's the 5th of July or the 6th of July or something. It's the 6th of July. Let's just go with that. It's the 6th of July today. You're seeing this a month from then because this is book review 4 and I'm releasing one every week. So, and I may try to front load these pretty heavy so that I'm not sitting outside in the winter. This greenhouse would be probably pretty nice in the winter, but then you're gonna see the neighbor's house through the trees and like, how's it look back there? Yeah, it looks pretty good actually. That tree, this tree, like, just not even get me started about this tree. Anyway, I can't. My lawn and this tree, the opposite side tree, this tree and my lawn, not friends with one another, not at all. So, but it's a nice tree. It's just a nice tree. I have a lot of nice trees around here. Something like 3 acres of woods. It's great. Like I said, now I can't see my neighbors. I'm on a dead end road. There's nothing out here. This is a house in the middle of the woods. It's idyllic. Idyllic with a Y. Is that how that works? Is it with a Y? Anyway, so today, and there's a half price book sticker that I couldn't get off of here. We're going to be reviewing How Late the Sweet Bird Sang by Kate Wilhelm. And this is, first off, a writer that you have probably, that I'd never heard of. And this was given to me by a friend of mine before I was reading Hugo Award winners. She just knows a lot about books and gave me this book and said, it's an award-winning, it's critically acclaimed book. So let's talk about this. This book, this is the Sci-Fi Masterworks collection, and it won the Hugo Award for Best Novel in 1977. So 2 years before I was born, and if you're doing your math, that means Vertical Sandwich is almost 40. I am almost 40. I mean, if you didn't, you don't know my birthday, so, I mean, it could be I'd already have turned 40, but I haven't. So now you know, you can eliminate half the year from when my birthday is. You know my birthday is not before July 4th, or 6th. Yeah. Yeah. You know that now. Alright. So the Sumner family can read the signs. The droughts and floods, the blighted crops, the shortages, the rampant diseases and plagues, and above all, the increasing sterility all point to one thing. Their isolated farm in the Appalachian Mountains gives them the ideal place to survive the coming breakdown, and their wealth and know-how gives them the means. Men and women must clone themselves for humanity to survive. But what then? So, okay, like, here, first off, this is the craziest thing. There's a quote on the front of this book, and it says, "Don't pass it up on any account. It's simply the best novel about cloning, a classic." And when I read that, I went, how many novels about cloning can there be? Like, being the best novel about cloning, it would be like, I once read a historical analysis of the importance of salt in history, and that's probably the best book about salt ever written. Right? So this is the best book about cloning ever written. Well, here's the thing. Not only is this not the only book about cloning, it's not the only Hugo Award winner about cloning. When we talk about Sci-Teen, it's about cloning. Here's the thing about this. I've read 2 books about cloning. This book and Sci-Teen. This is the better one. This is better than Sci-Teen. Sci-Teen's not bad, but this book is amazing. This is a fantastic book. And I'm gonna read you. Well, first off, let's just talk. No, I'm going to read you the passage because we're going to dive right in to Kate Wilhelm's sci-fi masterwork. Okay, here we go. See if I can find my spot, because I just put a bookmark in there and then just kind of go with it. Like, I figure out where. I don't randomly pick a page. I mean, I read the part I'm going to read to you, so it gives you a sense I want to give you about kind of what's going on. Okay. Molly, watching him, felt as if a thick, clear wall separated her from every living thing on Earth. Nothing could get through the wall. Nothing could touch her in any way, and where the feelings had aroused terror, never fully dormant any longer, now it simply bemused her to think of it. Every day they got closer to home, and curiously, it seemed less from their own efforts than from an irresistible pull. They were powerless not to return home. The pull was steady, dragging them back, just as they had dragged the boat up the banks to save it from the flood. Their every act was instinctive. And the terror? She didn't know its source, only that waves of terror coursed through her unexpectedly, and when they did, she felt weak and cold. She could feel her facial muscles tighten during those times, and she was aware of the way her heart leaped, then paused, then raced. And often when she had been at the oars for a long time, something else happened, and she felt a release. At those times, strange visions came to her, strange thoughts that seemed untranslatable into words. She looked about in wonder, and the world she saw was unfamiliar. The words she would have used to describe it useless, and only color would do. Color and line and light. The terror was stilled, and a gentle peace filled her. Gradually the peace would give way to fatigue and hunger and fear, and then she could mock herself and the visions, and even while mocking, yearn for it all to happen again. Sometimes when she was forward, watching for hazards, it was almost as if she were alone, with the river that seemed to have a voice, and infinite wisdom. The voice murmured too softly to make out the words, but the rhythms were unmistakable. It was speech. One day she wept because she could not understand what it was saying to her. Ben's hand on her shoulder roused her, and she stared at him blankly. So, Kate Wilhelm is an amazing writer. She writes a novel like she's writing a poem. This novel is gorgeous. It's gorgeous. It's a joy to read. It's an absolute, just breathtaking joy to read. 250 pages. 250 pages, and you'll feel like you've read a series of novels. It's very densely packed. It's very beautifully described. So let's talk a little bit about the plot. So the plot is about this family that realizes scientifically that the world is going to end. And that the only hope that they have is to kind of create a commune, not a commune, like a family compound, and then use cloning technology to further their own existence, which they do. So the book is in essentially 3 parts, where it's the initial creation of clones, and then this entire compound run exclusively by clones, and then kind of a further into the future section after that. And the novel is really about the exploration of how that kind of science changes the people. The clones start having issues psychologically that humans like us in a society would not. Mainly from their creation and sense of community. So it becomes a problem. The way that they think and that they feel and the way that they relate to one another is an unforeseen effect of the cloning process. And so they start to realize that they're becoming removed from humanity, or it becomes obvious that they're removed from humanity. So the novel is really an exploration of what kind of makes individuals and human individuals important? Is important the right word? Unique? So the initial parts of the book are the struggle to solve the physical problems of cloning and cloning clones and cloning clones and cloning clones of clones and cloning clones and clones of clones, ad infinitum cloning. Whereas there's nothing to anticipate the psychological problems of the same process. And the book really examines, by placing kind of counterpoint characters that don't have these problems against the society of clones that are experiencing these psychological problems as they go along. And then here's the thing, is that's happening beautifully. It is happening beautifully. It's happening in this amazingly, gorgeously written piece of, of art. It's not a lot that you get sci-fi kind of hardcore literature. That when you read something like a Philip K. Dick novel, and you should read Philip K. Dick novels. You should just go and order anything with Philip K. Dick's name on it and read it, but you should specifically order Ubik and read Ubik. We will talk about Philip K. Dick when we talk about The Man in the High Castle, but until then, but when you read a Philip K. Dick novel, they're fantastic. They're fantastic, but Philip K. Dick's thing is, I have an interesting idea, let me give you my interesting idea and tell you a story around it, and then there you go, you had an interesting story. And that's fantastic. He does that better than almost anybody. But, it's not You don't dissect Philip K. Dick books for the symbolism of why a character is lying face down on the ground, like you would a Hemingway story. Which, by the way, that's a thing in Hemingway stories. I remember this from being a lit major. So, whereas that would be appropriate in a book written this way. Like, Kate Wilhelm is obviously a student of literature in the classic sense, as opposed to kind of genre storytelling. I'm not making any judgment calls that way. All I'm saying is it's refreshing. It's refreshing to read somebody attempt to write beautifully and still have these very tantalizing sci-fi concepts going on in the story. So for those reasons, I will tell you, this is probably the best book about cloning. It may be the best book about cloning, which, by the way, continuity break, I can just do this and show that the Moon is Heart's Mistress too. I can. I mean, I can, but we're not doing a review of that. But it's still sitting here, because I finished recording that 11 minutes ago. So yeah, there's something gorgeous about that. And again, you should read Philip K. Dick books, and you should read Isaac Asimov books, and you should read, you should read surface kind of fun stories, right? Because they're great, but sometimes you want something that touches the heart, where they describe a scene and you just go like, oh man, I would never have, like, I can see that beautiful sunset you're describing. And that's lacking in a lot of science fiction. Not all science fiction, but a lot. Mainly because that's not what science fiction is about. Science fiction isn't about writing a Hemingway novel. Science fiction is about writing a Philip K. Dick novel. And again, those guys do that great. And I love Philip K. Dick novels, and I love Isaac Asimov novels. But this is a different thing. Like what we're dealing with here is a different kind of prose. And a prose that has an artistic value beyond the science fiction ideas. When you read a novel that is about a really clever concept, like a war going on forever because of traveling at relativistic speeds, Joseph Haldeman, we're coming. Like when you read that novel, you just go like, wow, this is a fantastic concept. I really, like, this is great. But like this novel, not so much that. The concept is okay. It's an okay concept. But the way that characters are explored and their surroundings and the things that happen to them are described is breathtaking. It's the kind of thing where you read it and you just go, how lucky that someone can describe their world this way. And I love that. I love it a lot. It was amazing. And here's the thing about this novel, and I will tell you this, is that when you start it, what you're going to say is, I don't like the concepts. Because it starts about, like, these cousins that are romantically in love with one another, and the way that they feel about one another, and you're going to go like, I'm not in this for cousins being, like, romantically involved with one another. Because that's what I said. Here's the thing, though. It's really not about that. That's not going to last. What is going to last is breathtaking prose and interesting concepts about the human condition. So, yeah, huge deal. Like, really, really love the writing. And I know you can't see the title because there's this old half-price book sticker on here, but this is Where Late the Sweet Bird Sang. See if we can get this in here. Right there. Boom. Where Late the Sweet Bird Sang. There you go. So, this book is available wherever fine books are sold, or you can just order it online. Like I did. No, a friend gave this to me. A friend handed this to me for my birthday. That's how I got this. So, yeah, but this is an amazing piece of work. Amazing. Just breathtakingly beautiful. And a breathtakingly beautiful story about some very bizarre stuff. So, wonderful. Just wonderful. You guys take care. Thanks for watching. I appreciate it. Bye, everybody.